Alright, it's time to talk more about the Xbox One version of Space Engineers. Hey everyone, my name is Captain Jack and welcome back to my channel. Recently, I reached out to Marek Rosa, the CEO of Keen Software House, who developed Space Engineers and the Xbox One version of the game. I asked Marek and his team some questions about the state of development, as well as whether certain features would be included in the game. So let's jump into this. Okay, I sent Marek and the team around 5 questions, including some extra ones from myself and the community. Special thanks to everyone who sent in those questions for me to ask, it's been much appreciated. Okay, the first thing I asked Marek was the following. Many community members are wondering what is the difference between making Space Engineers for PC compared to making the game for the Xbox One system. Now Marek and the team responded with the following. The Xbox system, even the X, is on paper much less powerful than the current PCs. In reality, it is more powerful thanks to a slim OS and driver architecture. The biggest difference is memory. On a standard PC, there is virtual memory, thus the game has essentially a huge amount of memory to its disposal. On consoles, the memory is fixed, and the game has to manage it much more carefully. Some of you might already know this, if not, now you do. Essentially, there are quite a few differences between a PC system and an Xbox One system, and the developers really hit it on the head here. This is obvious, memory on computers is much more, accessible, whereas on consoles it is fixed, and as a game like Space Engineers is very memory and resource intensive, developing it for Xbox is going to be quite hard, so you can see where they're hitting issues here. Now I know a lot of you asked me about the possibility of cross-platform within the game. What that means is PC players playing alongside Xbox Space Engineers players. One of my questions to Marek and the team was on this topic. I said cross-platform is something a lot of the community would be keen to know about. Can they play with their PC friends, or is there certain technical limitations preventing Keen from doing this? Now the answer, let's just say it's a hard problem, but possible. Probably not day zero though, we'll see how it pans out. So that's Marek and the team's answer there. Now I'm going to share with you my opinions on the topic. Honestly, I don't expect cross-platform for the game. As nice as it would be, I don't see it as something the game could handle due to the complexity of Space Engineers. Smashing starships apart as long with voxel damage and physics calculations is a ton of data for a PC to handle, but with a console, it's gonna struggle even more. Now I'd love to see cross-platform come to SE's Xbox edition, as more people playing together is great, but honestly, I cannot see it in the game due to performance reasons it could present. As much fun as it would be, I think it's going to put too much of a strain on the game, which is already being strained enough on the Xbox system. Now about Steam Workshop integration, I asked, are players going to be able to download ships from Steam, or will there be no Steam Workshop access for this Xbox version? Sadly, it looks as if this won't be possible due to a few complicated reasons. On screen is Marek's response to this question. However, don't be too disappointed at this response, as it appears there will be support for user-generated content through Xbox somehow. I'm not sure how this will work for the moment, but it appears that players will at least be able to share their creations with others. I'm glad, as it feels like this is a core part of Space Engineers for many. I had an extra question on screen now, but it was answered in the previous question, so you can kind of see that there. Thinking about this, possibly it could take some inspiration from Halo's Forge idea, where players upload their own maps and such, and others can download and play with them. Maybe we'll see something similar to that, where, Space Engineers players can upload their own worlds, and players can download them and play with their own ships and stuff like that. I'm not sure, it's definitely something that is going to come with Space Engineers, it appears, but obviously we'll have to see how Keen implement it with the Xbox system as a whole. My next question was on the topic of development, mainly why is it taking so long to be completed? Yes, Space Engineers Xbox One was announced in 2014, it's now 2019 in case you didn't know, and technically we still don't have a release date for the game. Obviously we do know it's now in progress, but I felt like the community needed more information on this topic in the interest of being transparent. My number 4 question was, could Keen provide more information into why the Xbox One project has taken so long to be completed or focused on? Was the focus shifted to launch SE on PC first over the priority of getting the Xbox completed? Now thanks to Marek and the team for answering this question openly, here's what they had to say. Over the years we've partnered with multiple third-party studios to make this port happen. Unfortunately, all of them failed to deliver the game in the quality it would satisfy us. There was too many compromises. It is understandable as Space Engineers is a very unique and technically complex game. Now after Early Access exit, we decided to focus on the game internally, so our engine team could get involved, and after a few weeks of experiments, found a way to get the game onto the Xbox with no or very little compromises. Now I'm glad we have more info on this subject. Development of games is not linear. It's clear that Keen had issues in developing the Xbox One version of Space Engineers, most likely with the added pressure of developing the main game at the same time. Therefore, exporting it to third-party studios would have made a lot of sense to begin with, but sadly they did not have the experience with Keen's engine like the in-house team actually did. Now it does seem like everything is now back on track and progress is being made. We'll of course have to wait and see how it turns out in the long run. My question 5 was important to nearly all of you for obvious reasons. I asked, will players see planets inside the Xbox version of the game, or will it be a space version like when Xbox SE was announced in 2014? I felt this question was important, mainly because Space Engineers has changed so much since 2014, with the inclusion of features such as planets. Well, luckily for us planet lovers, there will be planets inside the game, thanks to the team for confirming this one. As an extension of this question, I asked if there would be any features from Space Engineers that were too complicated and therefore wouldn't make it into the Xbox version of the game. The team responded with the following comment: not for our engineers. So therefore, most features of PC Space Engineers should make it into the Xbox One version of the game. I say most features up to the release of the game, as I would be unsure about any of the DLC content and further expansions making it in just yet. Speaking of DLC, I do wonder if that'll be present on the Xbox version once it's released. We'll have to find out more information on that soon. Okay, so my next question might come across a bit differently, but I was generally expressing an opinion and question which many of you, including myself, have asked in the past years. Some players think that releasing on Xbox One is now a little late, as Microsoft have announced the next generation of consoles, i.e. Project Scarlet. Would Keen Software House consider taking Space Engineers to the next gen of consoles in the future? My question here was technically in two parts. First, I'll share Mark and the team's answer, which was, we are considering all the options of course. Now, there was no comment on my statement that the Xbox version is a little late. What I meant by that is that it was announced in 2014 for Xbox One and it's now 2019. During 2014, Xbox One console was at the height of its time. Almost 1 year old, the console had quite a few things coming up which would attract new players and therefore get Space Engineers more exposure. While now, in 2019, the Xbox One is kinda near the end of its lifespan in terms of being viable for brand new video games, especially with the Xbox console on the horizon in 2020. Project Scarlet. Of course, it's still perfectly fine for developers like Keen to produce games for the console. My concern, but it's a little too late, and therefore people won't pick up the game as they would if the console was at the height of its release. More of a personal concern for me, but hopefully this won't be the case. Either way, I'd love to hear your opinions on this subject in the comments section below. Mainly, will you be picking up the game? So there we go, that's all the news and details I have on the Space Engineers Xbox One version today. Hopefully this gives you more information on the state of development of the game and will tie us over until the next batch of info. My hope going forward is that Keen give us regular updates on the Xbox One development, as I know many of you have been patiently waiting for almost years now for Xbox, for Space Engineers to come to Xbox. We've been waiting a hell of a long time. Now, things like development logs once a month, either in video or text, could be really helpful to reassure people progress is being made. My main question to you, are you planning on playing Space Engineers on the Xbox One version once it comes out? If so, comment on this video to let me know. I already know many of you are waiting for the game on Xbox, but I'm interested in how many of you actually are. Well, that's all I have today. Thank you for watching. If you did like this video, then of course make sure to subscribe. If you would like to see more of my Space Engineers and video content, you can subscribe via the link below. And of course you can come join my community Discord where we're discussing all things Space Engineers. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.